How you doing, Sagittarius? Let's get right into this. First card out is Strength. May have Leo in your chart, but it's definitely having strength within yourself, having trust in the divine, having resiliency towards conflict that goes on around you, and the strength to endure them. What crosses you? 7 of Clubs. Feeling that you have to stick up for yourself and your opinions. Feeling that you're trying to make a point. Feeling that you have to protect yourself. Perhaps you feel ganged up on or attacked in some way. And you're fighting for your rights and your point of view, your foundation, the causes of the situation, your physical and emotional needs, plus your subconscious desires. The causes your foundation, the causes of your situation, a King of Clubs in reverse. So the King of Wands in the verse is someone who is impulsive, who can be irresponsible, can be a ladies' man, and who has their energies spread out between many different places, who is someone who is driven by their lust, has no devotion or commitment, can be impulsive, and someone who doesn't make good decisions. This isn't someone that you could depend on. Possibly somebody with a high temper who can't control their temper, or this is somebody who never follows through on anything but makes a lot of promises, and who makes a lot of plans but never fails to back it up with any action. Pass. 3 of Cups. Perhaps you were part of a third party, Sagittarius, or perhaps there's a third party within your relationship. Either way, there is 3 people. Possibly either these could either be people, a reunion, a third party situation with a King of Clubs in reverse. I definitely see that. Someone dealing with somebody who lacks commitment, who is a ladies' man, who likes attention. Three more cards. Actually 4, 6. So you're being strong. You're defending yourself and your truth and your position. You're dealing with somebody who lacks honesty and integrity, who likes attention, possibly dealt with a third party or made you a part of one, an already existing relationship. Let's see. Now, your goals, your conscious awareness, the best that can be accomplished at the present. Knight of Clubs. going forward with passion and vigor, with velocity and intention. It's the best that can go forward is going forward with movement. Don't let anyone slow you down. You're being strong and you're keeping your point of view and your rights and your freedoms, and you're not dealing with people who made you a third party or brought in a third party within your relationship. Page of Coins. Your goals is to move forward or away from something, possibly towards something, but you want to make an action towards something, and Knights are action oriented. Go towards somewhere really fast and with vigor. Now, your future. Queen of Swords, you're cutting something out. You're moving away from third-party situations, from people who lie to you, from people that you can't trust or depend on. You know, if this wasn't just a third party. Interesting. If this wasn't third party, then maybe these are also people in the background, sisters, a mother, friends, people that you thought you could depend on, is perhaps wasn't as trustworthy as you hoped that they were. You're cutting people out. You're cutting out people who you can't trust. Sagittarius, you're cutting out people who don't respect you or your decisions or your autonomy. And you refuse to be kind of, what's the word? Controlled. Sorry. I need to turn on the light. I'm going to turn on a fan. You refuse to be controlled in this situation. A King of Clubs can be someone extremely controlling on top of being ridiculously impulsive. They can be a tyrant. You know, they can be someone who's really argumentative, someone who blows their top and who lacks integrity and who likes of attention. These are people with no staying power, and people who just kind of like wants a chunk of your energy. Like, they want that attention, they want your energy, they want your time, you know. And you want to move away from all of this. You don't want to have to argue your point. If they can't respect it, then you're going to cut them out, because you're done with people who add nothing to your life except for what they could get out of it, except for their own good time. Perhaps these people always put a lot of responsibility on you, and they just expected you to pick up their slack, and it left them with a lot more time to do whatever they wanted to do while you were picking up the slack for everyone else. You know, and there's people who should have looked out for you, but instead there's people around trying to control you. And the people who should have looked out with you and stood with you, the people that you've helped this whole time, didn't stand with you. They just took a chunk of you and left. And you're sick of it. You're no longer giving to people that just want to take. And your future is you're cutting that all out. You're trimming the fat. And you have every right to. Now, the way they see, how you see yourself, your personal strengths and weaknesses, an individual perspective of you. How you see yourself as the Queen of Coins in reverse. This is someone who... We speak of someone upright, the Queen of Coins. This is the mother. This is someone who cares for their house and home, who is the boss of their home and their own business. In the opposite, this is someone who doesn't have any control, someone who is being depleted financially, energetically. You know, someone who feels they don't have their own control over their autonomy or their business, maybe fail to even be able to enjoy all of that they've had, and even time at home to tend to themselves and their own garden and their own nourishment and those that they would like to nourish. And this is, as I could see, all of these coins are being dropped out of her. This is someone who's being depleted. Sagittarius, these are people who've depleted you, and you possibly feel really exhausted and depleted and used and definitely betrayed. And perhaps you feel like you didn't have a voice to speak out in many ways, because these people here, many people who you thought you could trust, they kind of like were in cahoots against you. And you were a giver in this situation. You gave so much. And all they did was take. And they depleted you. And you no longer want to carry all of that while they're out enjoying themselves, their lives, their extra time that you don't have. Because it's like they expected you to always just carry their weight. But you don't want to do that. You refuse to do that anymore, and you're moving away from this, and you found the courage in order to fight for yourself and what you believe in. Perhaps you felt oppressed in many different ways for a long time by these people that were around you. Perhaps you felt obligated in some ways. Like they had something held over you. I'm kind of seeing like an idea of what's going on with Britney Spears right now and her family. For some reason, this is coming up to me. Like this kind of storyline of people just using somebody who does have their own abundance, and instead of being around for the right reasons, they're around for what they can get. They're around for the party. While you're there picking up the bill and cleaning up after all of them. Your environment, a King of Swords. This is someone who can be cold, cutting, logical. This is someone who can have sharp words, who speaks without thinking, possibly, or possibly it's some kind of court cases or judge, but this is someone who is extremely logical and intelligent and cerebral. You know, he sees things in black and white. You know, it's either it's right or it's wrong. And he values logic above all. Possibly so much so that he's can be emotionally cut off and stinted. Can be dealing with an air sign, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. Dealing with a Queen of Coins in reverse. The Queen of Coins can be a business owner and homemaker, but it's someone who can be painted as someone who is someone who can't, not even can't maintain, but someone who's controlled in some ways, possibly financially, possibly you don't have they controlled your funds, or they used funds to control you. Perhaps you felt like you couldn't leave earlier because you lacked control of funds, or you lacked resources in order to being able to escape a less than favorable position for you. I feel a lot of depletion and tiredness and, being overworked. Don't overwork yourself, and try to take the time out that you need, because I'm feeling a large depletion here. And everybody is trying to defend themselves, and possibly King of Swords can be someone who does see things for what they are, against this King of Clubs in reverse, this fire sign. This one is upright, the King of Swords, trying to see things the way they are, trying to speak their truth, but they can be quite cold in some ways, against this King of Clubs, someone who is a hothead, impulsive, someone who doesn't have any kind of loyalty, who tends to use, who likes attention. So your environment, you could be under some court situation, court of law. Maybe there's some kind of judgment or a decision that a third party is making about some dividing of assets, or a job or a home, or some kind of payout. There's going to be a dissolution of a family unit, or marriage, or business. And you're cutting people out left and right, the people who betrayed you in many ways. Your hopes and fears of attaining the goal, the lesson to be learned, blocking your development. 3 of Swords. You fear being betrayed. Your hopes and fears. You fear of not being able to trust anybody, because majority of the time that people are around you, they betrayed you. And it always hurts worse when it comes from those that you trusted and loved the most. Your hopes. Your fear that you'll never meet someone that you can trust, that everybody around you is just around to use you. And perhaps your hopes is to try to stay in this energy in order to protect yourself in many ways by remembering the betrayal, what they've done to you. But that's a double-edged sword, because if you keep yourself in this energy of feeling betrayed and resentment and hurt, then you tend to stay within that energy and you don't move forward. It's okay to be in there for a time being, to accept it and understand it and to grieve it. But don't stay there too long, because that energy that you ruminate in, the more of that energy you'll bring back towards you. Perhaps you tend to expect it from people around you, and it causes a self-fulfilled prophecy, because in some ways you unconsciously believe that that's what everyone wants from you. The outcome, 8 of Coins. This is planting your harvest. This is putting effort in and waiting for receptivity, reciprocity. I can't even talk anymore. But you're looking for an even exchange. You want to be able to enjoy, your own abundance of what you worked hard to get. And you did. You worked very hard for all that you've had. And to the point that you were never really able to enjoy it. Perhaps you learned how to be more frugal with your money. Perhaps there's a need to. Perhaps you learned on who you can and can't trust, and now you only want reciprocal relationships or people around you, and now you're a lot more discerning over the people that come around you, because you've been hurt too many times. Now, we feel like if this is a court case, you'll get 6 of Swords, moving away. No longer fighting with those who offer nothing. And take the most. You need to take time out and rest. Take your time to understand the lesson, but don't dwell there. 6 of Swords, it's time to move away from arguing with people who is committed to misunderstanding you. But the 6 of Swords, even though they're moving on to greener pastures of somewhere that it was high conflict, it's important not to bring any extra baggage of resentment and anger and with you into this new chapter. It's time for you to take a rest, possibly take a vacation, You've been overworked for too long, and you need some healing time. And you want to move away from the conflict. You don't want to fight with it anymore. You don't want to fight for what's yours, what's fair. And you don't want to be a party to being everybody's go-to person while never turning around and asking how you are. You're putting in the work, and you're going to learn how strong that you really, really are. And you're learning so much about yourself. But it does nothing to dwell in the darkness about and hate on the people who've hurt you. You're allowed to, though. You're allowed to feel any way that you want. Nobody could take that away from you. But you want to give yourself a time limit on how long you dwell there. Because those that stay in the darkness becomes a part of it. Know that this was a lesson, and this was karma given to you, as in like, this is just one of those, this is what we were born into. This was part of our chart. This was what was needed to mold us into who we are ultimately and who we will become. And unfortunately, sometimes it takes the deepest depths of the darkness and the most hurtful betrayals from the people that was the closest to you in order to get you there to be able to reap the rewards of awakening, of learning about yourself and who you really are and what is really going on around you. The Queen of Swords, they learn by experience. The Queen of Swords is not someone who's cold in any means. This is someone who is logical. This is usually the depiction of a divorcee or a widower. This is someone who is intelligent, who is detail orientated, who learns by experience. And perhaps in the past you did a lot of wasting your time with people who didn't matter, or people who was only in there for the good time. But now you're starting to have the strength within yourself to be able to walk away from all of that. Because you know, in general, it holds no substance for you. Because we know what happens when you keep around untrustworthy people. And it usually ends up in a financial loss for you. Now this King of Swords, someone also logical, someone who can be very detail orientated. I see possibly a judge, lawyer, an engineer. This is someone who's very science-based, cerebral. Maybe this is someone who's backup for you. This is someone who could help you see things the way that they truly are, who could help gain your freedom from the situation to completely disconnect, possibly to get your due from the situation, whether it is a family business or just plain toxic people around you, toxic family, toxic friends. You're heartbroken and you fear that it will happen again. But the only thing we can't control is just, it's not the situation or if someone will hurt us or when they'll hurt us, or the only thing that we control is how we react towards it. Because, you know, in how someone treats you is their karma. How you react to it is yours. And know that this was meant to happen because it was trying to mold you in who you needed to be. And to see how strong that you really are, that you can survive all of this and have the strength in order to, because the first card out is the most powerful of all of it. This tells the entire foundation of your spread and you standing up for yourself and your beliefs and cutting out anyone who doesn't appreciate that. And you'll be damned if anyone's going to stand in your way, because you're ready to trample them, which you should. You don't want to fight, and in general you don't like conflict, but it seems like they backed you into the corner. And when you mess with the bulls, they're getting the horns. And if it comes with a knife in the chest, not in the back, because that's what they did to you, but right in the chest, and so be it. And this isn't even really your nature in general, but you felt like you were pushed and you had no other choice, because every time you gave them an opportunity, they showed you why that was a mistake. You don't want to fight, but you're not going to sit around and be bullied anymore. You keep fighting that good fight, but take rest when you need to. This can be Four of Swords, rehab, this can be a vacation, this can be being overworked or feeling overworked and exhausted, feeling depleted. It's time to try to re-up your energy in any time available that you can to treat yourself well. Because unfortunately, nobody's going to look out for you and make sure that you do that for yourself, because ultimately the responsibility to take care of ourselves lies within ourselves. And you should never give up that power again in order for them to disappoint you. Because if you're able to nurture yourself and feed yourself and nourish yourself for what you need, and you know that you can, but imagine what you can do without all of these toxic ass people around you. You could do so much more, and especially if you are allowed to take care of yourself as well. I mean, honestly, you're allowed to do that now. You're allowed to do that then. But perhaps you felt like powerless in so many ways. Perhaps you felt like your will was broken. Perhaps you felt like they had something over you, but now you feel like this is a fight for your own life and your own rights and your freedoms that you have to fight in order to obtain it back. What fell out? Milk and honey. The land of milk and honey. This is your Valhalla, your heaven, This is the land of good and plenty. This is your personal heaven. Your personal heaven is not found in anyone else. It's found within you. It's found within your happy place. It's found within your security. And when you give that up, you give that power away, because your heaven, your happiness is never in somebody else. It's within yourself. Be observant of the people that you have around you, promising you big things. Be observant of those who never laid a hand out to support you or help you. When people show you who they are, believe them. Because you didn't get the support that you needed. And you weren't offered the support that most people were given. And you're looking for your own personal heaven. And no one's going to assist you to be able to create that for yourself. You got to take initiative to be able to create that for yourself. And your loved ones who actually do love you as much as you love them, and care for you as much as you care for them. There's something that you're not seeing. Perhaps you don't know what to expect in the future. And perhaps there's a fear of that. There's a need to listen to your intuition. That some foundation that was built up is crumbling, and things are making itself known. Some old foundations are crumbling. And it's foundations that were made to oppress you. Listen to your intuition. Those who supported you, they're being exposed. And they will eventually fall away. And all of the dirty structures that were put into place in order to sustain a very toxic situation. And this could easily be a toxic work environment, you know, on top of a toxic family, or just a toxic job in general, but it's crumbling. But you know it's gonna stand you, because you know yourself and your integrity. And the people that didn't have it will be exposed. Allow yourself to receive gifts and love. If you have to work for it, get rid of them. It's time for you to receive happiness, abundance, nourishment, and love. And to find your tribe. Those that support and love you. Those that actually genuinely look out for you. Possibly your children. and you're loyal to them. You could be a mother, and this is what you're doing in order to stay strong and resilient throughout the situation, is that even though you don't know what's ahead of you, you know that a change has to be made, and you have to show your strength in order to obtain your rights. Possibly this could be child custody or case, and you're trying to get the rights back to your children, and or you're trying to kind of like get what's some back of what was taken from you. Even though you don't know what's ahead of you, I'm letting you know it's leading you to amazing things, and you will get all of the things that you're fighting so hard to get. But that's what I have for you, Saggy, and I'll be catching up with you soon. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. There's a donation box below, and there's also added notes if I get anything else that I didn't add in the reading and I get afterwards, if you want to look that up in case. But I'll talk to you later, and much love and light to you. Bye.